Hello, hello. I have finally started recording slash making my Season of Awesome video part 2. If you watched my first video, you will know that, or I think I said so, I don't know, that I planned on making part 2 for fall and winter, but I'm actually recording this and then all of like my quote unquote thoughts stuff and whatever after I recorded my actual summary, and the summary by itself is literally like an hour long. So I'll do part 2 for fall and I guess part 3 for winter. But anyway, it's time to introduce the characters. So there's Gal Jin, who is Somang's best friend. I mean, we've seen her in summer. And then there's Subin Kong, who is Sonhui's older brother, and we've also seen him, I'm pretty sure. Then there's Uri Kim and Hyuk-soo Nam, who are both Subin's friends since middle school. And finally, there's Ujin Go, who is both Subin and Gal's friend in their current university. Oh, there are also some side characters, well, namely one named Jongmin, who is Gal's friend in university, and basically the entire friend group from spring. Also, last thing, fall is basically split into two parts, or halves, I guess, but the Gal one and then the Sonhui one. I tried to group them up, namely the Sonhui stuff, because her parts are really short and I didn't want to jump around too much. But anyway, time to get into fall. Picking up where we left off, at the end of summer when Jamin and his friends leave the Nemo studio, it's Gal's first day of university, so someone calls her. While on the phone, Gal bumps into Subin and is horrified, but tells herself it's not him. There's a saying that if you catch a falling leaf before it touches the ground, your wish will be granted. Or was it that your love would be granted? One day at the high school, Jaeyeon picks a leaf off of Sun's hair outside of school and puts it in her hand, telling her not to lose it and to make a wish. As he walks away, Bomi is excited, and Sun says it's not what you're thinking. Meanwhile, Kyle is sitting on a bench on campus calling someone to rent an apartment when a leaf falls on her head and Subin spots her and goes to pick it up. She suddenly grabs his hand and looks at him as the leaf flutters to the ground. Subin apologizes and explains about the leaf and says, "Didn't we bump into each other the other day?" Kyle stares at him with a disgusted look, and Subin is about to say something when their mutual friend Ujin appears. He introduces them to each other, and it turns out Subin and Gal both entered college late. Subin was doing military service and Gal just started late. Ujin got in on his third attempt, so he's older than both of them. He says he wanted to eat with them so they could get to know each other, but Gal gets a call from someone and tells Ujin, "Let's eat together, just the two of us next time." Then she leaves. Ujin asks Subin what happened since Gal is super friendly, and Subin feels annoyed that she overreacted over a leaf, but thinks they probably won't run into each other much anyway. They end up bumping into each other a bunch of times, and he keeps trying to say hi, but she ignores him. Later, they're with Ujin on in their club room, for a fake club they made to have a private space that has some other members. Subin and Gal are glaring at each other, but Ujin says if they keep making other people uncomfortable, he'll kick them out. The next morning, Subin's sitting behind Gal in class when she drops her pen and they pick it up at the same time. Gal then tells him to throw it away and move seats. After class, he sees her being friendly with some classmates and talks to Ujin about her. They wonder why she hates Subin, and he starts getting curious. Later, Subin takes a nap in the clubroom, and Gal goes in to study without seeing him. He wakes up and overhears Gal calling her mom, saying she moved out because she hates her old neighborhood and thought that she'd get better, but it's not easy to forget ... But Subin's phone starts buzzing and interrupts it, and Gal hangs up. She gets upset when she notices him and says, "Out of everyone, why did you have to be the one?" Then she trips and falls on top of him as Ujin opens the door, and he and the people behind him see them two together. Later, Ujin tells Subin rumors might start and that there's a post on the college forum asking if Subin has a girlfriend. Later, Gal is smoking on a bench when Subin shows up and asks what he did wrong so he can apologize. Gal quietly says, "If you really don't know, you're an asshole, and if you're pretending not to know, you're a scumbag." Subin doesn't hear this, but two dudes he knows show up. They ask him how he knows Uri Kim, who's a famous influencer, and he tells them to go away, but when he turns back around, Gal is gone. She ran away while they were talking, and thinks of when her classmates were flicking paper at her while Uri says she shouldn't have messed with Subin. Later, Subin gets a call from his friend Hyuk-soo, who tells him to come see him and Uri, who are drinking. He shows up and tells them about the Gal situation without mentioning her name, and says it gets on his nerves even though she's not important. Uri and Hyuk-soo go outside to smoke for a bit, and Uri says she doesn't like that he's in school now and worried about a girl, since she's liked Subin since middle school. Hyuk-soo likes Uri, but it doesn't really matter. Uri then says one of her old servants from high school contacted her to say she saw Gael again. Gael is hanging out with Somong in her new apartment, and she asks her if she looks ordinary where someone wouldn't remember her face, then laughs and says she'll become a real bitch now, planning to get close to Subin and give him payback. The next day, Uri and Hyoksu show up at the school to visit Subin and see him talking with Ujin. Uri then sees someone pass by with an expensive bag and follows them to see if it's real, so she doesn't see when Gael arrives. Gael says good morning cheerfully even though her fist is shaking from her hatred, and asks if she can sit with them. She apologizes for how she acted, saying that there was a misunderstanding. Uri close by finds out the bag is fake, then overhears people gossiping about Subin and Gael, and she thinks it's odd that she's hearing Gael's name so much recently. She decides to leave and tells Hyoksu they can just call Subin if they want to hang out. Later in Subin and Gael's class, they're assigned a 2-person project, and Gael asks him to be partners and he rejects her. After class, she runs up to him and says, "Are you sure you don't want to pair?" Then asks if it's because he feels guilty about something. He says, "What? You're the one who left when I tried to talk it out, and now you changed overnight." And he says he feels uncomfortable about it. Gael has a flashback to when Uri splashed her with mop water, and Subin said it smells like rotten eggs when he came to their classroom. Then he gagged when he saw her on the floor and said that looks uncomfortable. She starts fake crying and says she was bullied in middle and high school, and one of them resembled him, so she treated him badly, but now she's sorry. Subin panics and agrees to work on the project, so they exchange phone numbers and she leaves. Gael's friend Jongmin is waiting for her when she gets outside and shows Gael the post about Subin where people were commenting they think he has a girlfriend after seeing him in the club room. Gael thinks it could be helpful for her plan, but Jongmin says she made the post because she likes Subin, so Gael tells her about the bullying. Jongmin says that she's on Gael's side, and Gael says she's going to study abroad after this semester, so she's going to do whatever it takes before she leaves, and that the actual bullies were his friends. We get another flashback where Subin, Uri, and some other kids were loudly talking in the classroom. Gael is the class monitor, so she tells him to be loud in his own classroom or she'll get the teacher. Meanwhile, Subin is with Ujin and says, "Someone said he looks like their old bully, but he doesn't think he was much different either." As they're walking, Ujin talks about how he met Gael. They were put in a group together, and she says she'll do all the work as long as she doesn't have to be the leader or present, because she was a class monitor in middle and high school, so she was sick of it. Subin then says it'd be hard to be a class monitor if you're bullied, and Ujin is confused, saying she doesn't seem like she'd stand for bullying, which makes Subin think she lied. The next day, Subin and Gael meet in the clubroom to discuss the project, and she asks if he heard the rumors of them dating. He says they'll go away, and Gael says, "I think it's not a bad idea." Subin's like, "Wait, what?" And she says, "I want to go out with you." He starts blushing and asks if she likes him, and she says, "No, I'm interested in you." He freaks out, so she laughs and tells him to think about it and that it doesn't have to be too serious. Subin ends up meeting up with Hyoksu and says Gael is his type. Hyoksu asks if he'll go out with her as Uri comes in and asks if he's talking about the girl again. He fills her in on what happened, and she says she thinks he likes the girl, which is why he's letting it slide, even though she's weird. Apparently his type is responsible and studious girls, which Gael is, and Uri says it's not a good fit for him since he always got dumped quickly. Uri tells him he should date the girl since it doesn't have to be serious and he can figure out why she's weird around him. After Subin leaves, the other two chat and Uri says it's better to get over the casual fling quickly and implies that she'll interfere. Hyoksu says, "Don't cross the line, we're past the age we can be forgiven because we're young. If Subin finds out what you did to his ex-girlfriends." She cuts him off and says, "That's why I'm sticking to you, since Subin can kick me out of his life but not you." Gael and Somong are talking in Gael's apartment again, and she says Subin was cute when he turned red. Somong says she doesn't think it's a good idea, and Gael responds that it's unfair they get to live their life like nothing happened. I think it's the next day after class, and Subin runs after Gael and she turns around saying, "All right, let's date," as a bunch of people in the hallway stare at them in surprise. She asks to eat lunch together and they end up going to a cafe. Subin asks why him, and she says, "Well, why'd you agree?" He says that she got under his skin and he wanted to figure out what she wanted. Gael says you got under my skin too, so it can't be anyone but you, making him blush. After they leave, they walk outside for a bit and Gael tells him it's her first relationship and takes his hand, which makes him red again. Later, Subin tells Ujin about it and is flustered, saying, "I always took the lead in my relationships, but I'm wrapped around her finger." Ujin sends him 2 movie tickets he didn't want to use and tells him to take the lead this time. He invites her to the movies at the same time Uri invites Hyoksu. At the theater, gaeul chooses a horror movie because she knows he hates them. We then get a flashback to school, where I'm pretty sure his friends are in gaeul's class but Subin's in a different one. Subin's friends are chatting without him and say that Subin was nearly crying when they watched a horror movie. Then a dude comes into the room announcing that Subin's dating his class monitor. Uri then tells gaeul that she better try harder to stay out of her sight. Back to the present, Subin is slowly dying inside while watching the movie, and they end up leaving in the middle of it. He apologizes and she says, "It's okay, I should have asked you first." And he's like, "Wow, you're not a bad person." Subin then picks a different movie for them to watch that's about to start, but they take a bathroom break first. While gaeul is washing her hands, someone in a stall asks her to pass some toilet paper to her under the door, and she does. After she leaves the bathroom, Uri comes out of the stall. During the second movie, Subin is crying and gaeul thinks that she wonders if she got him all wrong, since he's so different from the him in her head. But she can never forget seeing him beating up Hyoksu at the school as she passed by the room. Uri and Hyoksu are watching the same movie, and Uri says the guy convulsing with sobs reminds her of Subin. Afterwards, Subin goes to the bathroom, and while waiting, gaeul bumps into Hyoksu, and she turns away shaking, wondering if it's actually him. Subin then appears and grabs her hand, telling her to run. After they run off, Uri runs up to Hyoksu saying, "Someone who looked like Subin just passed by. I want to see who he came with." Hyoksu almost says he just saw gaeul but decides not to. Outside, Subin is like, "Sorry, I think I saw some people I know, but nothing good will come of running into them." gaeul pretends she's fine, but she feels really bad because after all her effort to catch up and get her self-worth back, she froze and wanted to run away when she saw Hyoksu. She then wonders why she feels indifferent to Subin now, even though she used to be scared of him. Subin thinks gaeul's cold, so he gives her his jacket, and they go to a convenience store to warm up. She gets him to drink alcohol with her, and he gets drunk from one shot. gaeul, who's not drunk, asks him who he saw at the movies, and he says it's Uri Kim, and he knows her because a mutual friend and wouldn't have gone close to her without him. He ran away at the theater because she's nuts, and he says, "Your life will become difficult if she takes an interest in you." Then he says, "You lied about being bullied. Ujin told me." gaeul laughs and says, "You'd probably feel better if it were a lie, but it makes me feel like shit hearing that from you." She was planning on leaving him at the store, but didn't want to inconvenience the employees, so she takes him and thinks of leaving him somewhere. While they're walking outside, he says he's had 3 turning points in his life. The first was when he met his cat, Shushu. When he was in elementary school, he was popular and unknowingly caused a hierarchy to form in his friend group. One of the kids had a stutter and ended up being bullied by the other kids, and even though Subin noticed, he didn't really care. Then one day they saw a beat-up cat outside, presumably by some middle schoolers, and the kid with the stutter says it's because people have fun bullying those weaker than them, which really stuck with Subin. He skips school for a bit and takes care of Shushu. He asks his mom, why do people have fun bullying those weaker than them? She replies that they're cowards, and equally cowardly are those who ignore it because they think it's someone else's business. When he goes back to school, he sees the kid with the stutter getting bullied again, and he realizes he's no different than the bullies, so he beats the bullies up and says not to bully his friend Hyoksu again. Subin then talks about the second turning point, slightly incoherently. He hated studying, so about the paper airplanes in middle school, that girl was my first love. The next morning, he wakes up on the floor confused. He deducts that he must be in gaeul's place. Then Uri calls him saying, "Did you think I'd let it slide if you ran away from me?" Then 2 dudes come up to Uri saying they're Subin's friends and fans of her, and she hangs up. The friends see gaeul and Jungmin walking and tell Uri that gaeul is dating Subin. Uri says something came up and runs off laughing, saying this is so funny. After she hung up, Subin gets mad that she's at his school and gets ready to go find her, but then sees Danpung, gaeul's dog. He ends up petting Danpung instead, who then throws up on him. He goes outside for fresh air, but the apartment door closes and locks him out. In class with Jungmin, gaeul gets worried since Subin missed class, so she leaves right after, saying she left something at home. Jungmin and their other friend chat outside, and the friend says her friend saw gaeul and Subin enter her apartment together. After the friend leaves, Uri, who is secretly watching, approaches Jungmin asking to talk. They go to a cafe and Uri says she's Subin's friend. She realizes Jungmin likes Subin from her reaction, and she asks her how well she knows gaeul. Jungmin replies just a little because she doesn't talk about herself much. Uri manipulates her by being like, Well, she was always weird, but not a bad person. She used to send Subin anonymous letters because she liked him. Jungmin is like, wait, what? I heard that she got bullied. And Uri's like, why would she lie about that? So Jungmin tells her about showing Gal the post, and Uri says that Gal hasn't changed. Uri gets ready to leave and says, let's be friends. Subin used to like girls like you, not Gal. That's why she's leery of you. You don't have to trust me since we just met, but you hear a lot that you're nice, right? Cunning people will try to fool you or others to use you. People like us are always the ones that end up hurt. Don't trust other people, just trust your gut. Hyoksu picks Uri up and asks what she did, and she says it's a secret, but it's going to be the most fun we've had in a while. After Uri leaves, Jungmin thinks if what Uri said was true, then Gal is really trashy. She then starts typing up a new post. We then see a flashback to the first day of the semester where Jungmin tries to buy something at a store, but her card gets declined. She's holding up the line so Subin pays for her stuff with his. She asks to pay him back and he doesn't care. She starts liking him from that day and hovered around him at school trying to get close, but when she saw him in a gaeul, she got frustrated. It then transitions to her post, which included the backstory too, where she types, I took the plunge and shared my feelings with my closest and most trusted friend whom I relied on. She said she was a victim of school violence because of him, and made it sound as if I'd be a sympathizer of school violence if I didn't give up on my feelings for him. I tried to stop liking him, but they soon started dating. I'm the only one who knows, and I didn't want to cause harm to anyone, so I'm posting about it anonymously. Back to Gal, who gets home and doesn't see anyone. She looks around for Dumpung, then Subin appears with Dumpung in a blanket. They somehow missed each other when he was waiting outside, so he came back when he thought she should be back home. Gal thanks him for keeping Dumpung warm and washes his shirt for him. While they're waiting for laundry, he asks where she's from since she seemed familiar, and she asks why he wants to know. He says he realized he doesn't know anything about her and asks if she can answer his question if he answers any questions she has first. She asks him to finish what he was saying about the 3 turning points. He starts telling her about the airplanes, but we get both of their POVs. In their second year of middle school, Subin was slacking off in class and folded a worksheet into an airplane and threw it out the window. The teacher sees and makes him go get it. Gal was walking by outside and finds the plane. She unfolds it and laughs at what he wrote, which was, I don't want to study. Why study when I'm gonna win first place in the lottery? Gal was a serious person but broke character that day, and wrote a note on the paper making fun of his grammar and left it folded back up for him to find. When Subin sees it, he's like, what a rude person, and puts another one there saying, I'ma kill you if I catch you. He sees the back of her head when she finds it and runs out, but she's gone when he gets there. He tries to catch her a few more times but never does, and Uri tells Subin that she'll help him find the girl. Some of the notes they wrote involved him asking why she studies, and she says, I don't have money or talent, so studying is the best way to increase my chances of doing what I want. In the present, Subin tells Gal he thought that was super cool, and it was the first time he felt respect for someone his age. He says her personality seemed like a class monitor, and he asked her to meet up, but she didn't want to. Gal thinks back to when she responded, telling him to meet her after school, but Uri sees her with the plane in class and realizes what was going on. Gal liked him too back then and waited for him, but was disappointed because he didn't show up. But she soon forgot about it since she started getting bullied. She asks Subin what happened in the end, but Subin gets hungry, so she goes to make him toast. He stands behind her to help her get the toaster because it's on a high shelf, and she ends up facing him when she turns around. She thinks about what could have happened if they met that day, and goes to kiss him, but he blocks it with his hand. He then says he was surprised, but it's not that he doesn't want to. She gets super embarrassed and rushes him out. So while all that Gaul stuff was going on, there was also some development with Sonhui and Jaehyun. So, someday after the leaf thing, Son and Bomi are walking to lunch when Jaemin chats with them, and they think he looks like he's doing better after all this summer stuff. After he leaves, Jaehyun comes asking what Son wished for and explains the leaf wishing. Later in class, Son twirls the leaf around, thinking that Jaehyun is oddly nice to her. Then a soccer ball flies towards her, and Jaehyun appears and blocks it. After that, Sonhui observes Jaehyun and realizes he's nice to everyone. He gives her his soda to tell her to throw it away, then Jaemin tells her that Jaehyun's mature with everyone else but jokes with her. At lunch, Son asks Jinte and Weejin if they think Jaehyun likes her. Weijin asks if she likes him, and she says that she'd reject him so he can lose interest quickly instead of stringing him along. Jinyoung and Bomi get invited to the discussion, and Jinyoung says the only way to know is to ask directly. Bomi mistakenly thinks Son likes Jaeyeon back, and tells him that Son wanted to talk. Later he approaches Son and asks what she wanted to say. Son then asks him directly if he likes her, and he says that he does, but it's obvious she doesn't like him, so it's unfair to be rejected when he wasn't planning on confessing. He tells her to give him the leaf if she ever starts liking him, and until then they can stay friends. Son still thinks she doesn't like him but feels ticklish. The next day at the start of lunchtime, Jaemin is still in the classroom to get his ID for the cafeteria when the wind blows Son's leaf off of her book. Jaemin picks it up thinking it blew in through the window and puts it in his locker thinking that it's too pretty to throw away. Jaehyun then asks him to go to the cafeteria with him, and they pass by Bomi and Son in the hallway. Jaemin thinks Son looks uncomfortable and asks Jaehyun after if something happened. Jaehyun tells him he confessed to Son yesterday and asks him not to sway her too much. He also tells him about the maple leaf and says he made a wish on it and gave it to Son as a lucky charm. Jaemin realizes that was the leaf he picked up, but decides not to say anything. When Bomi and Son get to class, Son notices the leaf is missing and gets super worried. She spaces out for the next few classes thinking about it and how she didn't get to make a wish yet. Later in class, they get their seats changed, and Jaehyun and Jaemin end up paired behind Son, who is paired with Jin-tae. Son observes Jaehyun more and notices other girls cling to him a lot and wonders why he likes her. While she's staring at him, Jin-tae asks if she likes him, and she says no, 'cause I like Jaemin. Jaehyun and Jaemin start chatting with her when some people in class start whispering about Son liking Jaehyun or Jaemin, so Jaehyun says, "I like Son," out loud. Son gets worried about rumors but accidentally falls on Jaehyun again in the doorway to class the next day when Jaemin shows up. After that, Son starts avoiding Jaehyun, and Jaemin tells him it'll last a while since he had experience with it during spring. Jaehyun says he didn't want to confess because he didn't want this to happen. At lunch, Jinyoung asks Sunhui what the big deal is since she already knew he liked her, and she thinks of how many times she accidentally fell on Jaehyun and Jaemin appeared after. People also started looking at her warm-heartedly since everyone likes Jaehyun, and while she's thinking about how it makes her uncomfortable, Jaehyun shows up asking to talk, so she runs away and yells, "So uncomfortable." Jaehyun has an existential crisis since he keeps the peace at home with his three sisters, and people at school describe him as very comfortable to be around. And when Sung glances back at him, he has a shocked expression she's never seen him make. She ends up skipping class after that. The next day, Sung gets to class early to avoid him, but he got to class when she did. He says hi to someone in the room and she thinks he didn't see her, but he treats her like she's invisible for a few days. Sung thinks it's irritating, so she asks Jinyoung Group for advice, and Jinyoung asks if she's tried talking to him first. She realizes she hasn't, but tries defending herself by saying he's busy preparing for the school festival. She calls it irritating again when Jaemin passes by and says, "It's more appropriate to say he's on your mind." We then return to Subin and Gal on the day of their school festival. They haven't talked since the almost kiss, and they run into each other in the building, and Subin asks to talk, but they get interrupted by Ujin and the student representative of their department, who says he needs their help. He forgot to find a couple for the competition to choose the cutest couple on campus, where the winning department gets 500,000 won for food, or around $500. Jungmin's standing alone outside. She texted her friends asking where to meet up and they didn't respond, and she's thinking, I can't believe them. Honestly, we didn't really get along anyway. Then Uri shows up with Hyoksu and asks Jungmin if it's okay for them to join her. Uri sees the commotion and they go to watch the couple competition. Gal is super flustered, but they end up doing really well in all the challenges until there are only two couples left. The final game is the Pepero game, where two people hold one stick on either side with their mouths and bite it until it gets really small in the middle. They were planning to just lose and get it over with when Uri calls Gal's name from the audience. When Gal sees her, she starts feeling dizzy and we get another flashback. After the year she started getting bullied, Uri nominates Gal to be class monitor again and continues bullying her. Whenever she didn't turn something in, she tells the teacher the class monitor didn't tell her or lost it, which makes the other kids in class start getting annoyed at gaeul for inconveniencing them. Uri and her friends also keep adding gaeul to group chats to harass her. When the Pepero game starts, she lunges at him and basically kisses him, but accidentally eats the whole stick. Subin then spots a crumb that fell on her and they end up winning. Gaeul looks back to Uri, but she's gone. She didn't notice Jongmin until then and is confused when she looks away from her. Jongmin's all upset and thinks Gaeul was strange from the start and that she shouldn't have trusted her. Gaeul tries to rush off in embarrassment, but Subin grabs her arm saying they didn't finish their conversation the other day, where she said she'd answer his question if he answered hers. She says she'll answer one question, and he says, "You asked me out because you were interested in me. Are you still only interested?" Gaeul is like, "What do you mean?" And Subin says, "I said yes at first because I was curious, why me? But I'm uncomfortable with this kind of relationship because I don't know your feelings for me." Gaeul thinks, "Rip my revenge. I guess it's time to break up." But Subin surprises her by saying, "I'd like to know you better. My heart always raced around you since the first time we met." He asks if she wants to take it seriously now, but before she can respond, Uri and Hyoksu show up. Uri is like, "You look familiar. Do you know me?" to Gaeul, and Subin is like, "Go away. How would you even know each other?" She says some more stuff, then is like, "Oh, I remember. Long time no see, Gaeul." Subin's like, "Wait, what?" And Uri says, "Didn't you know? Gaeul went to the same middle and high school as us." Subin says to Gaeul, "You didn't know either, right? Or else you would have told me," as Gaeul turns to face him with a sad dog-looking expression. Uri pretends to be friendly and asks to shake hands, and Gaeul says, "I see you haven't changed. I'm relieved because I was worried you'd mature and apologize to me, saying you regretted what you did in the past." Uri then grabs Gaeul into a hug and says, "I'm sorry about what happened back then." Then whispers, "Did you think I'd come bawling for your forgiveness if you were dating Subin? Do you think I can't return things to the way they were? You've always been dense, which is why no one took your side when you were bullied." Subin pulls Gaeul away, saying she looked uncomfortable and that he'll see them later. Uri's like, "Okay, but do you not remember? Subin said you smelled in middle school." Thanks to you, Gaeul's nickname was Rotten Egg for a long time. Then Uri leaves when she sees Ujin and the representative approaching. They came to get them for the department meal they won. While walking away, Hyoksu is like, "What will you do if Gaeul tells him everything?" And Uri says, "Whatever, she pissed me off, but I don't think she will, because she'd have to say how horribly she was bullied to the person she likes." Subin is still holding Gaeul, who has tears in her eyes. He asks if she's okay and says he knows how bad Uri's personality is, even though she's his friend, so it was probably her fault. Gaeul is like, "I'm not okay because I didn't get to do my homework and had to do the couples thing against my will, but we won, so you go have fun for the both of us." She leaves and Subin is forced to go. At the restaurant before they arrive, Jongmin wore makeup for once and smiles when she hears people saying Gaeul can't come, but Subin will. Then her friends ask if she really knows who made the post. Jongmin just said whatever so they'd sit with her, so she doesn't know what to say because she didn't actually want to say it was her. Subin shows up with Ujin and sits next to Jongmin. He's wondering if Gaeul's really okay and why she fought with Uri in school, then notices Jongmin is like, "You're Gaeul's friend, right?" As he chats with the others, Jongmin says, "Thanks for paying for my stuff at the convenience store. I want to repay you." Subin is like, "It's okay because I don't remember," and Jongmin is crushed. The other two ask how Subin and Gaeul started dating, and Subin is super awkward about it. Jongmin doesn't want to hear him talking about Gaeul, so she says, "You guys asked who the post is about earlier. It's Gaeul." Subin's confused and asks, "What about Gaeul?" Jongmin says, "Gaeul told me you and your friends bullied her, so she approached you for revenge. But when I observed you, you didn't seem like the type to do that. But then Uri told me everything about Gaeul." Subin is like, "How do you know Uri?" Then realizes they didn't just fight. He then thinks of some moments of Gaeul shaking around him and jumps up to leave. Before he goes, he calls Jongmin awful for bringing it up, because she obviously said it with bad intentions. Uri and Hyoksu were eating together, and Jongmin texts her saying she talked to Subin about Gaeul and mentioned Uri. Uri gets super mad, and Hyoksu asks why she always flips her lid when Gaeul's involved, but she says she forgot. While Subin's walking to Gaeul's apartment, he calls Hyoksu and curses him out and says, "You already knew, right? Or did you bully Gaeul too?" Hyoksu says it's all in the past, and Subin says, "You of all people should know you can't do that to people." And he's like, "Why not? Are there people who are allowed to and people who aren't?" Then he tells Subin that after they became best friends and people stopped bullying him, he went and beat all those people up. Then he says, "Did you really not know I was like this? Or could it be you turned a blind eye to it because you couldn't face that the guy you rescued one day, while suddenly drunk on feeling like a hero, was also a bully?" He continues and says, "Well, I'm different now that I'm an adult, and I'll calm Uri down, so you go and apologize to Gal for us. Let's not make a big deal and just move on." Gal's currently hiding under her blanket when someone calls her saying she's worried about her, and Gal tells her she saw Uri and Hyoksu. She says Subin really didn't know anything. She is relieved but is also scared that Subin will learn about her past. Then Subin rings the doorbell and she hangs up. She opens the door and Subin asks if he can come in. Inside, he tells her what Jongmin said, and Gal admits she did approach him for revenge because she thought he was in on it. Subin says sorry, and Gal says you don't have to apologize on their behalf. And he replies, "I was apologizing because I didn't realize what was going on and I didn't stop them." He tells her he'll get her a proper apology and asks to hear her story another time since it's too late right now, but she doesn't want him to leave. He hugs her and says, "I want to hug you since you opened the door, but thought you wouldn't like it since I'm a part of your bad memories." She says she likes it and they kiss. Woohoo! After that, they're awkward together and Subin asks some random stuff. Then she's like, "Do you really want to hear my story? I wonder if you'll be able to look at me the same way." Then she stands up and shows him the scars on her thigh. He asks if they did it, and she tells him she cut herself every time she felt like she wanted to die. She talks about the bullying and how in middle school, someone was getting dragged into it for visiting Gal in her classroom. Gal apologizes to her, and someone asks if she wants to go to Chongsam High School because it's far, and they can have a normal school life. At home, Gal's mom says no because they can't afford the bus fare and they start arguing. Her mom asks for the real reason, but Gal can't tell her, so she ends up going to the same high school as Uri. In high school, the bullies matured, so they weren't obviously mean, but were better at driving a person mad. The scariest part was her ability to adapt to it. Her senses became dull, her sense of reality disappeared, and she killed her emotions. She says, "After erasing myself to live like that, even I could no longer value myself." She apologizes for showing him the scars, but they're the only traces left of those times. Sumin hugs her and says, "Thank you for sharing that with me and enduring those times, even if that's what it took." They keep talking and they get sleepy, so Gal asks if he's sleeping on the floor again. Last night she put him on the floor because he was drunk, and she disliked him. But now they're good, so she tells him to get in the bed, and they have some cute awkward moments. Then Gal says, "Aren't I pathetic? I hurt myself because I wanted to die, but I'm still alive and I still can't break free from those memories." Subin then brings up Hamin's suicide, saying his little brother was playing at his house that day. He says, stories like that seemed like a different world, but this time it was related to someone he knew. He didn't know Hamin at all, but felt more compassion because they were the same age, and he couldn't stop thinking about it for a long time. Then Subin drops a banger speech saying, he made a drastic decision one day, and as a result, his family will live with the hurt for the rest of their lives. But no one can blame him because he was also probably that guy who tried the hardest to avoid making that choice. Still, it's best to be alive, because at least if you're alive, you'll one day have the chance to come to terms with your past. You're not pathetic. It's not your fault. Then he kisses her head, and she thinks of someone crying after Hamin died. After, she told her mom that she's been getting bullied since middle school and that she wants to die, and asks her mom to save her. The next morning, Gal wakes up and thinks, perhaps it's not something huge or amazing that raises someone up, but a hand that doesn't let go and heartfelt words on my behalf that provide a sprinkling of courage that's just enough to push through one more time. Then she wraps Subin with the blanket. We then get to see the encounter she had with the quote-unquote servant who contacted Uri about it. One day, Gal was walking outside and comes across a group, including one of the girls who bullied Gal under Uri's lead, named Sejong. She runs after Gal and says, "I still think of you from time to time. I don't know why I followed Uri around back then. If I could turn back time, I would never do something like that. I've always wanted to apologize to you." Gal's in disbelief because of how relieved and pleased she looks, and says, "You really don't think you've done anything wrong, do you? Because all you did was follow Uri's orders, because Uri is the one who's in the wrong. If you're done talking, I'm gonna go." She turns around, but Sejong grabs her arm and tells her, "I think something you did to Subin really got on her nerves. Uri really liked him, that's why you should have been careful." Gal walks away without responding and feels even worse because her words implied it was partially Gael's fault. In the present, Gael thinks, it's not my fault. Then why is it that I'm the only one who's suffering because of what happened in the past? I'll come to terms with it no matter what, thanks to the single ray of courage and the one opportunity you gave me, and I'll do it for myself. When Subin wakes up, Gael tells him she was thinking about how to get her apology. The high school festival starts after the college one, and we return there on festival day, where Jamin is holding the maple leaf by the window, thinking that he should have returned it already, but suddenly feels regretful. Son is alone somewhere because she wanted to give Bomi and Jinyoung privacy, and overhears some people talking about how the band got some non-members to help with the concert since they didn't have enough people, and apparently the lead singer is really good. She thinks they might be talking about Jaehyun since he was helping out, but it doesn't matter because she won't be able to talk to him anyway. Then Jaemin and Hojun, who are on their way to the concert, get her to go with them. She sees the lead singer is Youngsop instead, and Jaemin notices her looking for Jaehyun, who's the drummer. She smiles when she finally sees him, and Jaemin says, "You're worried about Jaehyun, aren't you? You kept the maple leaf he gave you this whole time." Son is like, "How do you know about that?" Then asks him to talk outside because it's too loud to hear them. Jaehyun watches them leave together and feels super bothered, but thinks it's better this way since his original goal was to get them together. At first he thought Son was just a supportive friend for Bomi and Jaemin, but found out Son liked Jaemin. After he saw her cry for Jaemin without expecting anything from him, he thinks she's being foolish and wanted to help her, but eventually started wanting her to notice him over Jaemin. He realizes he might have been acting wrongly since she already liked someone and thinks it's why she was uncomfortable. In the hallway, Jaemin tells her he picked up the leaf by coincidence and didn't want to let her have it after knowing what it meant. Son says, "It felt like you've been trying to set me up with Jaehyun. You know how I feel, so what do you want me to do?" Jaemin says, "I never thought we could be more than friends because I always hoped you'd be by my side." At first he was rooting for Jaehyun, but the more he saw them together, the more anxious he felt, and wondered if he wanted to be more than friends. However, when he saw her smiling at the concert, he realized he was just afraid of being left alone, since his last memory where he could feel carefree and happy was with her on the day of Hamin's death. He puts the leaf back in her hand and says, "I hope you don't deny your heart because of your loyalty to me, and because you feel sorry, so give it some thought. Who weighs on your mind the most right now? And who can't you stop thinking about?" Son then says, "Have you ever imagined that day if I hadn't told you to come over and you'd met your brother?" Jaemin replies, "If he would have changed his mind from something like that, he wouldn't have made that choice in the first place. He might have made it through that day somehow, but eventually he would have made the same decision unless the root problem was resolved. So you don't need to punish yourself over it anymore. It's time to move on from that day." Son then says, "I really liked you since the moment we first met when we were 12 until now, and I probably will continue to, although my feelings have changed from romantic." He thanks her for staying by his side and she says, "My first love was precious and I don't regret it," then runs off to find Jaehyun holding the leaf. When she gets back to the gym, Yongsuk tells her Jaehyun ran out as soon as the concert ended. She runs outside to find it and bumps into someone dropping the leaf, which gets crushed. Jaemin is still in the hallway, and Jaehyun runs there out of breath, and Jaemin asks why he's here. Jaehyun asks where Son is, and Jaemin decides to tease him, saying, "I don't know, she ran off crying when we were talking about when someone weighs on your mind." Jaehyun then grabs Jaemin and says, "No matter how comfortable you feel around her as her friend, you know she has feelings for you. Whether someone started to affect you or not, watch yourself. Do not confuse Sonhui. It's because you're like this that she feels more hurt." Jaemin starts laughing and says, "She went to find the person who affects her the most, but that jealous guy came to me." Jaehyun goes back to the gym and Yongsuk tells him that Son was looking for him. Jaehyun runs outside to find her and hears Son's voice. He sees her in a tree trying to get a maple leaf while the teacher tells her to get down. Jaehyun approaches and says he'll help her, and she's super embarrassed, saying, "I couldn't find you when I was looking for you, so why'd you have to appear now of all times?" He says, "I've been looking for you too, so I can ask you to dump me properly. I said I'd be okay if we stayed friends, but I don't think that's possible with you. Sorry for pretending not to see you these past few days. I like you so much that I'll keep liking you even if you dump me, and to the point that I can't stay friends with you." Sung gets embarrassed again because a bunch of people are watching and tries to grab the leaf but falls off the tree when she does. Jaehyun catches her and she gives him the leaf, saying she needed the leaf because she can't say that kind of stuff. The teacher interrupts them and Sung gets in trouble for being dangerous. While that was happening, Jaemin looked out the window and saw Minsu, who was one of the guys in the group he saw bullying Dongchae in the summer, with another guy bullying Dongchae again. A girl in a different uniform sees from the window next to him and throws a Hongduk keychain at them. Jaemin yells out the window pretending it's his and he says he'll come get it. The bullies leave and he tries to talk to the girl but she runs away, and this is where Son's romance ends for now, until winter. Continuing where we left off with Gal, word has spread about Jongmin in the post, and she tries contacting Uri but fails. She hears people gossiping about her and thinks that all the blame is on Uri. After Gal says she wants an apology, Subin tells Uri and Hyoksu to meet up at school. He and Gal are together outside on campus, and Subin tells her to call him if something happens. After he leaves, Gal tries talking to Jongmin first, who is like, "This is all your fault. Why do I have to take the blame? I posted because I had no one to talk to. The bad person is someone else." Gal's like, dang, was she always this unstable? But tells her she doesn't blame her for what happened since she didn't explain first. She tries to talk about Subin, and Jongmin says she's not interested anymore but wants to get revenge on Uri. She ends up making another post saying that Uri is a bully and where she and Gal will be talking, with Gal's consent. In class, sitting next to Ujin, Subin's worried about Gal and reflects on Hyoksu's stuff, thinking that he wanted to give up on him, but he couldn't let go of him completely, so he avoided him, which resulted in Gal getting bullied. He then asks Ujin if a close friend is on the wrong track and they cause someone else unerasable pain because I avoided that close friend, and if that other person suffers for a long time because of what happened, what should I do about that friend? Ujin says, I would have dropped that friend a long time ago, but it seems like you have a reason for keeping them. Subin tells him he feels like it's his fault because he hurt the friend the same way when they were younger. Then Ujin the goat says, you have your answer already. When some people hurt others, they don't realize what they've done wrong, or they try to rationalize or embellish their memories to ease their guilt. But in your case, it seems like you've tried to take responsibility for what you've done. Understand the weight of your mistake and accept the resentment you get in return. Subin thinks about it and runs out of class in the middle of attendance. Meanwhile, Uri and Hyoksu find Gal sitting on a bench, and Uri says, to think that you'd ask to see us first. Where's Subin? Gal ignores this and asks why she bullied her. Hyoksu laughs and says, I told Subin to tell you we're sorry, but I guess the message didn't get relayed. I'm sorry about what happened back then. It's all in the past now. Gal says, that doesn't answer my question, but if you're that sorry, shouldn't you get on your knees or something? Uri is like, Subin said you wanted to get along with us. Gal replies, that's right, so get on your knees and apologize about what you did to me in the past. If you give me a proper apology now, I'm willing to accept it and not take the matter any further. Uri sighs and walks over to whisper in her ear again, saying, I guess you're acting up because you think Subin has your back. So what are you going to do about it? Why was it you? I don't really remember because it was so long ago. Then she stands back up and says, but I guess it was probably because you're such a loser. If you wanted to do something about it, you should have done it back then. It's all in the past now, so what are you going to do? Even now you're shaking like a leaf. Or are you going to hurt yourself again or something? Gal stands up and grabs Uri's shoulders, saying, you're right, if I wanted to do something, I should have done it when I was a minor, but the only reason the cut marks on my thigh weren't carved into your face was purely because I couldn't let my mom be related to a criminal just for the likes of you. Not because I'm too nice, and certainly not because you're too scary to lay a hand on. Don't you think it'd be a lot easier for me to stab you than to endure the pain of cutting into my own flesh? Uri gets scared and pushes her away and says, stop overreacting, we were just kids playing around. It wasn't that bad. Gal grabs her again and says, do you really think so? Every day was a living hell for me back then. I imagined killing you and jumping off the building dozens of times a day. When you scratch someone, you have to be prepared to be bitten twice as hard. You have to take responsibility for your actions too. Hyoksu then steps in and says that's enough. Gal says, that's not how you make an apology. I'll never forgive you for what you've done now. You two will have to take responsibility for what you've done in a different way. Some people nearby notice them and recognize Uri. Hyoksu gets mad and grabs Gal, then Subin shows up and punches him in the face. He yells, you jerk! Don't you feel any guilt for what you've done? How could you? Hyoksu's like, how did the little boy who fed off of his own pride grow up to be so square? You were a lot more fun to be around when you were clueless. Then Uri says, I remember why you got on my nerves. You two used to exchange paper airplanes, which is why Subin started to change. She starts laughing and says, it must be nice, Subin, that you found your first love. But if it weren't for you, I would have never bullied Gaul. Understand, Gaul? Everything that happened to you is Subin's fault. Gaul interrupts and says, I was waiting for you to admit you bullied me. Then pulls out her phone and plays the recording. She says she's going to tell everyone since Uri's an influencer, and says, I want you to become just as unhappy as I was. No more, no less. Hyoksu lunges at Gaul for her phone, but stops when the bystanders take pictures. Gaul says she drew attention on purpose with the post, and Uri asks to go to a quieter place. Gaul says, you threw your opportunity away, and Hyoksu's your manager, so if you go down, he will too. Uri gets worried and tells Subin to do something since he's their friend. He says, this is my friend's business, so I'll be helping Gaul. That's what I can do for you two as your friend. Hyoksu calls Subin a hypocrite for acting superior, and Subin agrees and apologizes for turning a blind eye to him when he went astray. As Uri and Hyoksu leave because a lot of people were watching, Hyoksu says to Subin, I clung to you because it was funny whenever you felt guilty every time I did something stupid, but I don't care anymore. Gail asks Subin if he'll really help her, and he says yes, and asks if she knew about the paper airplanes. She realized after he told her the other day she didn't want him to know because he'd blame himself. She would feel worse if he feels bad about it, but he's not the type to pretend it never happened, so they can't be together like this. She then asks him to treat her as if the past never happened until the end of the semester when she leaves for England. After Uri and Hyoksu left, they find a bench to sit on with Jungmin secretly watching. They're worried because Uri's dad said he'd cut her off if she caused one more problem. Jungmin decides to try calling Uri again, who gets annoyed saying, girls like her disgust me more than Gao. They say they only did as they were told. They don't know how to think for themselves. All they know how to do is blame others. They're delusional bitches who think they're nice, but in the end they're the same. She's an idiot who doesn't know that being stupid is a crime. After that, Uri goes to the bathroom, so Hyoksu tells her to meet him at the car. After she finishes, she notices Jungmin following her, so she tries speedwalking away, but Jungmin pushes her down the stairs and smiles, saying, serves you right. Gal passed by at that moment, and Uri says, help me, Gal, call 911, someone pushed me. I'm sorry about what happened in the past, I sincerely apologize for it. You're a nice person, it hurts so much. I said I was wrong, please call 911 or Hyoksu. Gal says, now that I get a good look at you, you're pretty unimpressive. Are you scared of me? That I might do something to you in this situation? Well, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to watch. You're scared and sad, and it hurts, doesn't it? You wish someone would help you, don't you? I felt like that every single second and minute of every day. You should get used to this feeling because you won't have anyone by your side in the end like right now. Then she walks away. It's now the end of the semester, and Uri closed her social media account after she denied the bullying, then ended up posting an apology. Gal and Subin are walking together, and Gal pulls out a gift card for 100,000 won from the couple competition. They go to the fancy restaurant, and after they eat, they talk outside. Gal says she tried to find the reason, but realized the reason didn't matter after she met them again. Then asks Subin if he was the one who called the ambulance. It turns out Subin saw them that day, and present Gal thanks him because she was about to regret her actions. She says she came to like him a lot, and if they're able to meet again someday, she hopes they can start over from the beginning. Then she leaves. Subin tries running after her after a moment, but she's gone. Some day after, Hyoksu visits Uri, who's depressed in her room. She tries asking him to help her get revenge, and he says, will you quit it? Uri gets mad, saying, did you have a change of heart after hearing what Subin said? And she calls him an opportunistic bastard who leeches off of people. Hyoksu gets upset and tells her to do whatever she wants and slams the door, leaving. Subin misses Gal and types up a text message he wasn't planning on sending, but accidentally does, which makes her laugh when she sees it. A season of festivities and abundance, of desire and change, and of regret and growth departed, leaving a lingering, slightly sharp scent behind. In the cold but cozy air that subsequently drew closer, a child's silent cry quietly echoed. Okay, well, that was fall, and I cannot guarantee when winter will come out, sadly, because it takes really, really, really long to edit and record and write the script and everything. But Yeah, I hope it was better because there are lots more pictures than last time. And um yeah, it was more complicated because there's more dialogue that I didn't want to cut out. And also it's my favorite season. I don't know if you can tell, probably not, but I love it so much. Um yeah, I think it's the least popular season actually. I don't know why. Gaul's my favorite character. Um but yeah, I hope you enjoyed and I guess some of my general thoughts. Also, I'm just gonna yap because it's at the end of the video, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, bruh, it makes me so sad. Cause obviously we see like some of her getting bullied, but it's like little brief flashbacks and like, cause when you think about it, it's like, oh, like the current story, like what a cute romance and all that, and like woohoo getting revenge. But then it's like, dang, cause like obviously if you haven't gotten bullied before, like it's like impossible to actually understand. So I don't know. It's just really sad. Um yeah, I don't know. Also, I never realized how fast it goes. Like I felt like it was like kind of slow. Also, I don't know if you can hear the people outside, but yeah, and then cuz I remember when I was editing and I had 5 more chapters to go, but in the voice recordings there was like 1/4 of it left to go. I was like, "Oh my god." But yeah, it's amazing, and I don't know, I like Sumin. I mean, I don't really think of him as Sony's brother, like, obviously siblings aren't like, like, they don't have to be, like, similar or close or anything, but it's just kinda funny because like, they interact so, when they interact, Sumin is so different from, like, him with Val, and it's kinda cute. Um, yeah. Oh, I didn't even talk about Sunri's romance. Yeah, I like it. Bruh. I'm so, so happy they established or like they finished the Sunhui Jaemin stuff because like I don't know. I still like I never ever thought that Sunhui and Jaemin should end up together. And um I don't know. I really like it how they were like how they realized why they were like attached to each other and like that she didn't actually like him. Um yeah. Also excited for winter because I do like Inche. Um, oh, oops, quote unquote spoiler, but not really. Um, yeah, I like how you can see the winter stuff throughout the webtoon. I mean, oh, there was some more, I think, like a few random scenes about it that I cut out because like don't really need to put it in. But yeah, well, I'm really talking. What else? Hmm. Oh, I said last video, I think, that I realized that Bomi is not actually the main character. I guess I was a silly guy because it's like so obvious now. Like when I read Fall, it's like Bomi's like basically not even in it. And like Jamin is like, quite involved. Also, oh my god, Gal is so beautiful. Like, bruh. Like there were some parts where like I'll see 2 frames and in the script there's not that much room. But I'm like, bruh, she's too beautiful. Like I have to put both of these photos in. Yeah, also, what else? Oh yeah, you know how Uri is like her whole thing is like she's like a terrible person, but she's really pretty, so like people like her. Um, yeah. I feel kind of bad for it because like I mean not for yeah, I feel kind of bad about it because like, bruh, whenever obviously I hate Uri, but like bruh, whenever she shows up, especially because you know how some frames they'll draw it better? Yeah, especially those like more full illustration type. I'm like, dang, Udi's really pretty, but I still hate her. Oh, Jungmin! Bruh. Okay, I also feel bad for this because sometimes I hate Jungmin even more than Udi, but like overall, I definitely, Udi's obviously like the worst person in the story, but Jungmin is like, I don't know, because Udi is like established to just be a mean person, but Jungmin is like quote unquote a nice person that like is secretly like so insecure they like do everything wrong. I mean, I'm sure like almost all the readers hate her, but it's whatever. Let's see. Hyuksu, I mean, I guess it shows that he's like kind of reformed at the end. I mean, I don't like him, and I don't understand why he likes Uri, like, bruh. Not even just like the whole like he used to be bullied thing. Like he just, bruh, why? Oh, I love Ushin so much. Okay, well, and for real, thank you for watching. And also, oh my god, my part one, I said thank you for 1 subscriber. Well, thank you for 10 subscribers. Okay, well, see you.